SHOKY Sunday live, and we're going old school style with the phone. So audio is going to be ass. So you have to forgive me. We do have internet set up, but my computer, camera, all that stuff is not remotely set up just yet. Um, I don't even know what boxes those are in, to be entirely honest. But I've been making progress here in the Shoki Cave 3.0, I guess. I guess the first one would have been. Actually, I don't even know what generation Shoki Cave we're on just now. I'm going to wait a little bit because I'm sure nobody saw that I was going to be going live. So I'm going to be chilling out for a second. Just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Also be discussing the new Masters of the Universe Revelations series off of the Netflix. Watched it this morning and last night. Boy, boy. So we'll be discussing that. There will be spoilers. I will talk about that when we get that far. But I'm going to wait and see if people show up. Because I know it's kind of out of nowhere. I don't know what that was. Uh, what the hell was that noise? No, there's nothing set up over here. What the hell was that noise? Oh, whew. That scared me. There's a box. So like I said, everything is still a mess here. If you're following the vlogs, which are a few weeks behind, but I'm getting there. I just edited another one. So the room is full of boxes over here. I'll show it off here in a bit. More people show up, but the noise that just scared me, it sounded like something vibrating, was the lids of that box over there doing a thing. Because I had to get this guy out because it is a live stream. So it's Funicorn, the Bonacorn, technically speaking. So I got this right before we moved, and it's not great. The casting is a little bit off, and the felt on the bottom here is kind of shit. So there we have a new Funicorn. The old one is still in the box, but that is what it is. I saw somebody pop in and then they disappeared. And I don't think chat is going to be doing anything. Do live chat instead of just top chat. So either way, guys, new Shoki Cave. This area behind me, which is the Besta, and this stuff is all pretty much set up. I still have to do the opposite wall, but I had to make progress to get Detolfs in here today. And I did not make as much progress as I wanted to. We stopped to go to the store to get some things. And then when we got home, we both took a very long nap, losing hours of progress. But I did make a lot of progress, and the Halo Tolf is sort of set up, but I can tell right now it is wonky. So I needed zip ties. I bought a set of clear, small zip ties right when we moved. No idea where they are, and I need them. Like, it's what I need. What I bought them for is what I did earlier, and I need to get the wires inside the Detolf kind of situated, and then get it itself situated. It's definitely crooked. I can see that it's like doing this number, but I don't know if that's because the base is shifted or it's just sitting whatever. But it'll be attached to the wall, so I can straighten it out. It's been a heck of a run in the last week or so since we've been in here. mostly I was just putting stuff in the new cave, not really getting anywhere. The last few days I've made progress. Very tired, and I've got a headache. I took some stuff just before the stream started, and then I realized I hadn't taken my blood pressure meds. Uh, so I was like, oh, I wonder why my head hurts. So that's that. But still getting everything set up. I don't even have like power cords set up properly. So one reason I'm not using the computer is because I don't have it where I can plug it into anything just yet. So hello, whoever is popping in. I see one person right there. So I know it was kind of a last minute deal. A lot of people are going to wait to see the thing. That's why I'm not talking about anything of importance just yet. I wanted to wait till audience shows up. But for the most part, yes, finally been making progress because the wifey wants all the crap out of the living room area. Um, Also, despite how heavy that door is, you can still hear everything going on out there. So that's going to suck when it comes to doing live streams or recording. Um, like, she's doing laundry and stuff like that, which having laundry ability in your own home is incredibly not underrated. What's the word I'm looking for? Underappreciated. Like when you have to use a communal laundry, like we did at the other apartments, it sucks ass. So having actual laundry in our place now, we do laundry anytime we need to. Unfortunately, we're still on the we'll do it when we do it schedule, and that's how we got really far behind. And yeah, so we're basically just trying to get settled in enough and get used to functioning here, which is not easy. We got the living room mostly set up now because I have Billy's in the new cave so far, so that's good. I like how I see people pop in and then they just go away. I'm like, oh, he's not doing anything. I'm drinking. That's something. There's a lovely sunset happening. Can't really see it, but it's happening. And apologies for the road noise outside. Something you can't really deal with. So the highway is right there. We are on the corner and we are above the quote unquote noise blocking trees. So that's going to be something we'll have to deal with in the future when it comes to recording or live streaming. In fact, right now, I don't even know how the room's going to be set up just yet for those things. Because right now my desk is going this way. I'm sitting perpendicular to the desk so that I have this background, or else I would have the window as the background, and that would look terrible. Also, I need to change these light bulbs to white LEDs, which means I'm probably going to have to go get different ones. And this fan is ridiculous. The other thing is, like, part of my original plan was to put Billy's in front of the window, but things just didn't work out that way. So the detolfs are going in front of the window with a heavy duty curtain to block the light, and also just give a solid backdrop behind things. So that's going to be a thing that happens very, very soon. We just haven't gotten there just yet. Although putting up the curtain prior to putting the detolfs in place would have made sense. So in theory, that's probably something I'll try to take care of tomorrow. Got a lot of errands to run, stuff like that. Gotta go do the final walkthrough at our old place, which is gonna suck. Hello, whoever gave me a thumbs up, I appreciate that. Happy Sunday to you. I need to go to my mom's because she's got some stuff for me. I've got to return the old router and TV box and all that stuff, so I got to take care of all that kind of crap in the morning. I need to measure out exactly how big this window is. I think it was 70, like right about 70 inches wide. That is a really big window space. I did just finish editing a vlog where I really do the first walkthrough of the apartment. Unfortunately, I do it in vertical because I was going to upload it as a short. Ended up not being very short. So it is what it is. So you guys will have to just deal with that when I do upload that very soon. So make sure you're following the secondary channel if you want to see everything about the the move, or as I've titled it, the Great Migration. So, getting everything installed in here, display wise, and then being able to finally put things in here, which I have endless number of boxes in the closet. Everything to my right here is just boxes. In like all of the Gunpla is essentially out there. The only thing I have over there is backlog. All of the Gunpla that we unloaded out of all the detolfs is out there, along with 8 tubs of action figures, statues. Actually, I don't think there's any statues, but action figures, transformers, and everything else are in tubs out there. So all of that's still in the way. So look at it this way, about more than half of what we moved was my stuff. Lindell Rodriguez, what's going on? Haven't seen you in a while. I'm right now. I'm just rambling. I'm not going to talk about the actual subject until more people come in. We'll be discussing the my thoughts on the new Masters of the Universe Revelations animation on the Netflix. Will be a spoiler warning for those who haven't seen it. But if you're paying attention at all to the internet, the reviews have not been good. And they have not been kind. People have been tearing Kevin Smith a new one. But I will discuss my thoughts on the subject. And I'll try not to get into spoilers, but it's kind of hard not to because my thoughts on the subject are directly related to the things that happen in the series. So, it is what it is. And of course, you guys, as always, are welcome to give your own thoughts in the chat. By the way, drinking some mead. It's interesting. It's a hibiscus mead. From Enchanted Manor, which I believe is here in our area, or this close to it. So, yeah. So here's the thing. Originally, this Vesta that's behind me was where all the Iron Studio, Thundercat statues, and then of course Flame Toy stuff, that was all in there. The Iron Studio stuff will still go back in there. I don't know about the other stuff. And as discussed in upcoming vlogs, I'm probably going to get another one of these because I do have more statues coming that will need more space. And I'll probably replace the skinny Billy that's on that side that really wasn't being used in the old cave. I just had my Demon Slayer statue sitting on it, not really being used. So I'll probably get another Vesta to house the larger things that I've bought. And it'll go over there, so there'll be the two walls will basically be mirrored, which would be pretty neat. And then Detolfs, the remaining Detolfs will go right here. And like I said, with the big backdrop of a solid heavy duty curtain, hopefully to block out light and heat and noise. Because we are on the very sunny side. Like we woke up, like today was a like super clear day, like from sunrise and on. So like we were really woken up by the sun this morning just through our bedroom window. So our bedroom is on the opposite corner over there and in direct east facing. So it's kind of funny. But yes, it's been going for about 15 minutes or so. But yeah, it's been stressful, but actually making progress, coming up with an idea of how to get things set up in here has made things a bit better. And now knowing that I can at least get the Iron Studios statues set up again, I can get all the Naruto statues set up again, and then I guess I could put the I don't want to put the Demon Slayer on the bottom, but like, because I've got the Gaara, Naruto, and Sasuke, which originally were on the top shelf of the Besta, because I didn't have anywhere to put it, because Gaara's sand is so wide, it doesn't fit in the skinny Billy. And then Sasuke and Naruto work fine together if I put them down on the bottom. Problem with my current skinny Billies is they're set up for very specific statues, so there's no way I can get around that. I gotta get my Batman one set up on that side. and then get the wiring and everything set up over there, all tucked behind the bookcases and stuff. That should be good. Oh, one scary thing. So this Billy right here. So, you should always attach your very tall furniture to the wall with some type of anchor. So I'm using the bracket and a 2-inch thereabouts screw, and it goes through the sheetrock and then it stops, and then it's not going into whatever's there. I figured maybe I hit a really hard stud or something. And I don't know if these are wooden studs, I assume, but you never know. We're on the third floor. Maybe they added some metal somewhere. So we're out on the patio, which is essentially on the other side of that wall. And I look up, and there's the, uh, fire sprinkler coming out of the wall. And part of me was worried that maybe I was hitting the metal pipe for the fire extinguisher. But and the screw wouldn't be strong enough to really penetrate an iron pipe. But so compared to our old place, every room has a CO2 or a carbon monoxide / smoke detector. It has a sprinkler system every single room. Um, it's an up to date apartment. Have stupid fast internet, which even on Wi-Fi is 4 times as fast as it was at our old place. So no more dropping frames, hopefully, or anything like that. So stream should be pretty good coming up. I do want to do a live stream review of Hathaway Slash. I have not watched it just yet. I see Eric there in the chat. Eric, look, I have shelves sort of that are up. Um, I was working on details today, getting them set up for wiring through the bottom instead of through the top. It was incredibly, incredibly hard. Mostly because my drill bit was dying. But guys, if you guys have not watched the new Masters of the Universe on Netflix, new Kevin Smith version, like I said, I'm going to be discussing it. There will be spoilers. It's a very short series. You can knock it out in an afternoon or a morning or an evening. It's only 5 episodes. And I think they're only like 30 minutes. Kind of hard to tell, but I think I watched them all today, or I watched like the first episode last night, and then I watched the rest of it today. Mostly on the toilet, if I'm honest with you. It's been one of those days. But as the basis of this discussion, I will give my out of 10. I'll give the series probably a 6. So not right down the middle, but nothing spectacular as it goes. The animation quality is ridiculous. Fantastic, fantastic animation. Really reminded me of the 2011 Thundercats, but if they took it a step further and had humans, not just animal people. Although the animal people in this were really well done. And as somebody who wasn't a huge... I didn't have a ton of exposure to Masters of the Universe / He-Man back in the day. I saw a few episodes in syndication, stuff like that. Nothing that remotely sticks with me, not like Thundercats or Transformers did. So it's not like I'm a stranger to it, but I wasn't into the deep lore, the happenings of what happened in Eternia. I'd watched the live action movie with Dolph Lundgren and all that. That was kind of ridiculous. However, what's funny about that, much like this series, He-Man isn't a giant proponent of it. So they titled this new series Masters of the Universe Revelations and not He-Man and Masters of the Universe. And there's a reason for that. He-Man is absent for 4 out of the 5 episodes. For the most part. So, without spoiling the end of the first episode, let's just say that the main reason that people are really angry at Kevin Smith is they feel they were lied to. Essentially, the trailer focused almost entirely on stuff that happened within the first episode, which does involve He-Man, Skeletor, Man-at-Arms, Tila, Evelyn, all of the classic characters in their main, not form, but basically like as they are, as you know them. Cringer or Battle Cat, whichever way you want to look at it. All of those characters are there and they do a lot of things, and then so many of them are kind of either absent or play a minor role through the rest of the series. The episode follows essentially one main character that is not He-Man. Essentially it becomes the Tila show. And for kind of a good reason. But the defenders of this show, from what I've read online and seen for people who are having a positive reaction to it, the defenders of it say it's like, no, it's got great characterization and character growth and development and stuff like that. And the way I looked at it, I was like, not really. You have a main character who has an emotional reaction to the events of the first episode and basically make decisions based off of that emotional reaction that affect what the passage of time and events that happen in the future. And then of course the whole series is based around the main event of what happens in the first episode and how to deal with it, how the world, literally Eternia, is dealing with what happened, whether it's uh, the social aspects, the economical aspects, the environmental aspects of all of the things that happened in the first episode. Once again, I'm trying not to spoil it, but I'll do minor spoilers on the fact that this show follows Tila and her adventures through what's going on post episode 1. And so many people are calling it woke garbage, or what was the thing from the boys? Girls Get It Done, because it does follow essentially three, for the most part, first couple episodes until more people tag along. It is 3 female characters, 1 brand new character, and then 2 other ones. Now, what's interesting is what they do with the new characters that get introduced. One is Tila's new female friend, not to be called girlfriend because it's not confirmed within the series, but in theory, they could be more than friends or just straight up partners in their new mercenary lifestyle. Uh, Apparently, the world has gone in a more technological direction. Kevin Smith definitely took a lot of notes from Star Trek, Star Wars, and a few other things along the way. And this is what's funny. So the wife was just hearing me watch the show. So I was making breakfast, watching it, and then while we're eating, I'm watching it. And she hears it, just the dialogue and stuff going on. She asked me, "Is like, is that Star Wars?" And I said, "No, this is actually He-Man, quote unquote." And then here's what's funny. So she hears Tila going through stuff and talking, and she's like, "Is that Buffy?" And I went, "That is Sarah Michelle Gellar." I got like 3 or 4 episodes in before I realized that Tila was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. I didn't see it in the credits, which was pretty cool. I think the voice cast is pretty well done. A lot of people were complaining about it because of course, they can't necessarily imitate directly the original characters. Skeletor is Mark Hamill, who is doing his best without being the original Skeletor and not being the Joker. But there's some tiny bits of you're like, he's going very Joker with that. Um, and then a couple other people I'm not sure who they were offhand. You got Kevin Michael Richards in there, always a big voice talent. I could have sworn Clancy Brown was in there, as a character, but I didn't see him in the cast. It has to be Clancy Brown if it's not. There's another guy in there. I recognize the name, but it's escaping me right now. But for the most part, it's decently known voice actors. Um, and even I don't think I saw who plays the new girl. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember her name at all. I don't remember them saying it until episode one all happens at one time, and then episode two there's time skip, and now you're dealing with the what's going to be happening from now on. Um, and I'm gonna be honest with you. They said her name probably 5 times through 4 episodes. Don't remember it. Of course, I remember all of the old characters' names, stuff like that. Of course, the show have to remind me because in some ways I don't know. Um, I'm trying to remember who, because it sounds like who plays Man at Arms. I think it's sounds like Liam Neeson, but I could be wrong. If you guys know, let me know. But I could have sworn it was Liam Neeson playing Man at Arms. I mean, they're not shying away from big name actors, at least voice acting wise. What they do with old characters is kind of what any series does. You either relegate them to doing stuff on the side, they become commentary, or they die. Characters do die in this, which is interesting as a concept because, of course, modern day cartoons, people die. But to think that, this is a continuation of original He-Man to some degree. Now it does play with the lore, which is fine, especially for somebody who doesn't know any of the lore, like myself. They play with the idea of Castle Grayskull. They talk about where the Sword of Power gets its power. It talks about who He-Man kind of is and his relationship to the past and that kind of stuff. And you actually get to see, and I don't know if the original cartoon ever dealt with this, uh, previous Guardians, I believe, or Champions as they called them. So all the way back to original Grayskull, like the namesake of the castle and all that kind of stuff, which was actually pretty cool. Not gonna lie, and that guy's name is escaping me. The voice actor, I know he's was it? I always get his name wrong. He's one of those guys who has like two first names, and I always forget it. But I think he's the Allstate insurance guy. But I can never remember his name. Is it something Dennis or Denny? I'm trying to remember. You guys probably know who I'm talking about, but like the fact that they show off and they talk about some of those older characters, and I think maybe some of them were introduced at least in the toy line, if not in the original series. Because when they said their names and then they show the character models, I'm like, I know I've seen a toy of that character before. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of borrowing from other things. I mean, Kevin Smith is a fan of all the things, so when he borrows story aspects from things such as Star Trek, especially a very, very particular aspect of Star Trek. Uh, and like they didn't go very far from the name either, the name or how it functions, which is pretty cool. It's super super apparent when it happens. The world building they did with the show is fine. They're playing around in Eternia. They're showing off how the world has changed due to the events of episode one. You see the effects on certain characters due to those same events. Um, some, are having a lot more issues than others. And yes, this is a quest. The whole thing is Tila's journey to do the thing that needs to be done within the series, which of course the trailers completely didn't let you know what the show was about, and I think that's why people are so mad at it. It's about the fact that everybody feels lied to. Now, personally, I don't. But going into it already, knowing that people were mad at it, like even the early reviews were almost all negative. The Rotten Tomatoes score is tanking on the fan side. Like I think critics is still in the 70s, but the actual fan thing is like in the low 20s, if not lower. So I mean, I don't go by Rotten Tomatoes for anything. I watch something, I judge it for myself. But knowing already that people were not happy with this, but then some people, like my friend Tim K, he's such a MOTU fan that he loved it, start to finish. I don't think he complained about it at all. And I think he got mad a little bit when I brought up the idea that a lot of people were really unhappy with this series as it goes. Um, it does end on a cliffhanger because you've got to try to roll into a second season. Um, and I don't know how people feel about that either, given that they had this big setup, and also knowing that, once again, Kevin Smith is a fan of all kinds of fandoms. It has a very, let's see, what would be the best example? I was gonna go with Empire Strikes Back ending it, but I think there's better endings than that to apply it. Probably closer to maybe towards Infinity War's ending. Um, but people liked what happened there, and I think a lot of people aren't liking it. If once again, guys, if you're in the chat and you have watched the show and you want to also voice your own opinion, by all means, throw it out there because I want to know what you guys thought as well. And I'm gonna say, if you are a Motu fan or He-Man, yeah, no, I'm not gonna say if you're a He-Man fan, watch this. If you're a Motu fan, watch this. Um, like I said, I think the main problem is the handling of He-Man's character is the main thing that really pissed people off and why they feel lied to. Like they were promised. Never go by trailers. You guys should all know this by now. If anybody who watches DC movies should be very aware of the fact you don't trust trailers. Trailers are almost always a lie. And Kevin has like been saying repeatedly, I didn't lie. I never said any of this stuff. You know, it's all about. He did a whole live stream last night before, talking about it, talking spoilers, and I guess somebody was there with him. I don't know who that guy was offhand. And they were taking questions, and I guess at one point he definitely got a little irate with some people who were trashing it. I don't know. Because it was a live stream, sort of looking for panel, Q&A panel. And at this point, critics had seen it, and the fans were starting to watch it. And I think that the consensus is it looked good, and as a story, it was probably fine. Um, but people have a right to feel that they were lied to about it. You know, it's like they expected one thing. They weren't necessarily promised one thing, but they expected one thing. And the best thing I can say about it is it was fine. I'm not going to say it was awesome. I'm not going to say it was anything special. I'm not going to say it was the best of all time. It definitely was not. Um, at best, it seemed very similar to some of the middling seasons of. Uh, Actually, you know what? It's probably very similar to, I think, season four, either season three or season four. The ending of that of the new Voltron. Uh, Very similar in that kind of ending, but there's like the dialogue. Oh, I forgot. Lena Headey, I forgot, is also in this, and it took me like halfway through episode one to realize she was in that. I was like, "Is that?" And it is. That's pretty cool. Once again, big name actresses in here. It might have been your connection because it was super smooth. Everything about it was super smooth on my end. I thought the animation was actually really, and I was watching on my phone via Wi-Fi. So I mean, I wasn't watching it on TV or anything like that. So it looked fantastic on my end. Um, I will say, and I have to agree with a lot of the people online. Like Tila's character really did get annoying to me. Um, I think it's because she was so stuck on one note. It wasn't until I guess she had kind of her own revelation, as it were, that I thought she got better. But like everybody else seemed to have a real point, and then they kind of everyone else seemed to look at her like, why are you like this kind of situation? And I get it. She had a reason to be pissed. She had a reason to have her emotional reaction the way she did. But like her character as it was done, and I don't even want to say it's by any fault of Sarah Michelle Gellar doing the voice acting. Maybe it was just not written that well. Um, like she was either very straightforward and blunt, or a bit complainy. I don't know. I don't know if that was everybody's experience. Everyone's gonna see this show differently. Um, and like I said, if by all means watch it. I mean, it's a good looking show, and it should have a good overall plot. Hopefully, running into it. It was odd to see it 5 episodes. I was just like, could we get 6? It's almost like maybe there should have been more story to it. The quest, if I'm honest, it seemed like when the quest first starts, it seems like it's going to be like multi-part, and then it's like, okay, that was a little easy. Like, so I was like, for considering what was going on, sorry, I'm trying to remember chat. Uh, yeah, yeah, no, that's the one thing I would have thought about it. Be nuts. By the way, sorry, hi, haven't seen you in a while. Um, it feels like it wanted to be a 12 or 13 episode series, and they cut it to 5. So like character interactions were usually relegated to a single episode, or certain things were started in one episode and resolved by the next one because we've only got 5 episodes to do this entire arc and deal with everyone's emotional and physical and mental trauma in 5 episodes. Actually, 4 episodes, because the first episode doesn't count because that was the inciting event. Um, so, I mean, I think had it been drawn out longer, having a bit more adventure to it, like they went on this grand adventure, and then after the first real chunk of said adventure was done, they literally did a shortcut to the next goal. Like there wasn't another grand adventure from here to here. It was just literally, boom. All right, we're there, and then quick cliffhanger into the next one. And lots of dialogue contained punishment. Felt weird that was their choice. Under ordinary circumstances, maybe they'd had full seasons. Yeah, it could be that. Like it did feel constrained, um, and it's like it. Oh, and I get that they wanted to focus entirely on Tila. It was her series. Once again, I want to make that clear. This series is not about He-Man. It is about Tila specifically, and her interaction with other characters. Once again, trying not to spoil much. Um, and I feel like the main gimmick slash goal of the series, the thing that they needed to make happen from one place to another, was sort of tied into the original series to some degree, or maybe at least into the toys, and then they kind of gave it a reason to be like that in this series, which was kind of cool. I mean, I liked that, but once again, like there wasn't a whole lot of figuring stuff out. There was just, oh, this person has our answer. Cool. Now we go do that. Oh, here we are. Um, there wasn't a lot of journey to the hero's journey. There was like there were no side quests, which is funny. Like, I see you there, Hita. Yes, I went live. I'm having to do this old school styly on the phone because my setup is not set up. What you see behind me is literally what is really set up of the cave. I'll do a quick once around here once we're done. Yeah, yeah. Not gonna lie, like Duncan or Man at Arms, like here's the funny part. So we get 5 full episodes with Tila in them. And the best that I could tell you about her character is she's angry at everyone, kind of. Feels betrayed to a degree, mostly by one person in particular, and that makes sense. And it kind of gets resolved, sort of, kind of, maybe, but still. If people would just talk to one another, so much could be solved in this series, like so many others. Um, but Duncan, as a character, even though he's only really in the first episode and I think the third, like as a character, like I mean, he, of course, pops up in the fourth, but the third is really where, or maybe that's just later in the third. But he only really is in those things, and I was like, I know more about him than I did about Tila. And then I don't know if this really counts as a spoiler at all. Um, they really try to push the notion, but without much follow through, that Tila is the special, which is why she gets the quest. But there's no answer to that. Um, yeah. That's one reason I'm talking about it is because there have been such like it seems like there's hardcore defenders of this, hardcore fans of this, and then haters. There's almost like no in betweeners. I mean, I would count myself as an in betweener because not being a giant fan of the original series and stuff like that, because it was the one of the series I had the least exposure to. Like I said, I watched more G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Thundercats than I watched of He Man. I saw some He Man. I mostly saw like the later series, like New Adventures. I think that's what it's called, New Adventures of He Man. And then that other not reboot, not continuation. I think in the 2000s. I think I saw a little bit of that. But in comparison, I'm not offended by this series by any means. I want to make that clear. I just don't think it. Maybe it's the reason it seems like it didn't have a goal or something like that is because it was cut short. Like maybe they did have more episodes lined up originally, and then they had to cut its legs out from under it. Yeah, exactly. It's such a huge thing. In fact, I need to check with certain people in the Plastic Cannibals group and see what they thought because they're huge MOTU fans. Yeah, that's a good point, Peanuts. That it's like she has the right to be angry, but like yeah, it's not that people talk to her like you said that she's not right or nobody tells her she's wrong necessarily. Just kind of like calm down. And yeah, she sort of works through some of it, but it's only after like exposure to other people. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't deep storytelling back then. You're right. Yeah, yeah. It's not like she has to be 100% right, and everyone's going to defend her within the series. In fact, a lot of people I think kind of call her on it. Like, look, I understand you're mad at this, but we did it for this reason. This is like, and I guess eventually it was helping her get through those emotions. And this is what's funny. So I was having a discussion at the comic book store the other day with a guy who really did not like WandaVision. Um, like, not that he hated it, he just, out of the current series, he really didn't like what they did with it. And I'm like, WandaVision was a very different story because it was Wanda dealing with the stages of grief, going through it, and every single episode was sort of almost the different stages of grief, you know. But it developed her character through her actions, and a lot of people won't see it that way, but that's what they were doing. They were developing her character that we really haven't got anything out of through her actions, through her grief, and through all these other things. What what they had 8 episodes or so, 9 episodes. No, not even somewhere in there. Not one of the huge series, but you know what I mean. In comparison to 5, whereas Tila, which me not knowing anything about her other than she's one of He-Man's sidekicks, or I say sidekicks, other heroes, so to speak. And you know, they do make a big deal out of her at the beginning of the series because it's like her graduating, so to speak, to being a man at arms. That's not a spoiler. That's the first episode, so it is a big deal, like what she's going through, and cool. But then her only mode is angry, like until she eventually gets there, and then yeah, she does get to talk to old friends, but then like say those old friends actually end up not bonding to her again, they bond to other characters, which was cool. It seems like they developed other characters more than they did the main character, who basically had a singular goal: do this thing, find this thing, bring this thing to here, be the special for one episode, for reason unknown to anyone so far. um, Introduce cameo character from original series, which is fine. That was all done really well in my opinion, but it was like move on from here to here. It's almost like what they should have done was like doubled it to 10 episodes and given stretched that out a little bit more. It was all too easy in my opinion. But like the whole concept of like, say Tila is going through this anger and this grief and maybe even some depression and stuff, and there is a time skip. We don't see that in the same way we see WandaVision, or we don't see Wanda dealing with her grief and her everything else like that. Now, mind you, that only took place over the course of a couple weeks or a week and a half. This series takes place over a handful of days, as far as we can tell. I don't know how long it takes to transverse Eternia to go on this epic quest, but everything seemed to get a little too easy. Okay, possible. Now, the action elements I thought were pretty cool. I thought some of the fights were really good, especially when they're dealing with people who have different tech and stuff like that. It was very tech oriented, which I guess I never considered the original He-Man or anything like that to have. I mean, I knew they had vehicles and stuff, but I never considered tech to be a thing. It's almost like that's where I drew parallels to the 2011 Thundercats, where the Thundercats themselves were very medieval. They dealt with weapons and armor and knights and catapults and all that garbage. And then the mutants, or reptiles, or whatever you want to call them, all ended up with tech from Mumra. So it's like they went up against all this and they started adopting more and more tech as they went, which I thought was pretty cool. So I thought that was interesting to see these characters that you think about, muscly men with swords and weapons and stuff like that, and then now everyone's got big laser guns or a stick that turns into so many different things. I want to know how that stick turns into so many different things. Yeah, I think this is technically supposed to be, and it was always intended to be, a continuation of the original series. Which is why the character models are essentially on point. Mind you, of course, they changed He-Man's chest plate thing because you can't have an iron cross on anything anymore. It's all offensive and shit. Um, but I did like how they tied that into the past champions. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that took a lot of microtech. Like Tony Stark would be proud. Um, Nanotech. I said microtech. Um, I mean, like it was one thing when it just extended, cool. Then it turns into a sword. It turns into a shovel. It turns into all these things. And I call bullshit on the digging through the mountain with just a shovel. That I liked what they did there, but I call bullshit on that's how they did that. It's like there were some fun aspects to the show. I'll give them some credit to that. Um, the crappy dialogue of an 80s show was definitely there. The villain characters, like was it Triclops? Or is that actually his name, or is that just what they called him? I like that everything he talked about was an eye pun. Mark Hamill killed it as Skeletor, let's just be honestly. Yeah, exactly. You can just do all the things. Oh, but how do you. Okay. Um, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, the with her multi-tool stick of doom. How do you communicate which weapon you want? Is it a specific button? Is it psychic? I always wondered about that. I assume with Tony, the connection to the mental connection to the suit, he could just be like, okay, I want the guns. I don't have to say anything. I want the jets. His intent is communicated directly through his nodes that he put in to, and of course with the fact of his nanotech. But with her thing, it almost seemed like she was just flicking a dooley, and then it either went to big stick form, sword form, or whatever, spear, or shovel. I thought it was interesting there was a shovel. I mean, like ninjas would be proud, like to have such a ridiculous multi-tool weapon like that. That would be badass. Oh, you know what? And I didn't realize this. So, you know, every character generally has like their costume, like forever. And you know, Tila's normally got the like kind of white with gold and all this stuff, and of course she takes off her, I don't know what you call that. It's not like tiara, but it's like part of, I don't know. I don't know what that's called. She rips that off, and then like after the time skip, you know, she's got a completely different thing going on. But I never noticed until like the last couple episodes is that essentially like her almost like a tunic underneath is essentially exactly the same thing. She's just now got a different leather and metal vest thingy going on. I thought that was kind of cool. Uh, yeah. I mean, there's plausible in universe reasons for the stick to do different things. I just want to know what they are. I mean, is that fair? Like, I'm interested in what that is. Multi tools from Transformers PRID. I don't know which one that one is. Is that the RID that followed Prime? Is that what you mean? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's like to have a multi tool. Like okay, it's like the Doctor's sonic screwdriver. Technically, you give it the command with your brain as you're using it, so it's a psychic tool, not a weapon, and it does the thing you want it to do. And unless it's wood, you know, thousands of years still can't do wood. Since I've stopped at the Capaldi era, nothing happened after Capaldi just died. It was weird. Doctor just flat out and died after 13. I don't know what happened. Um, like I said, I don't conclude or I don't include myself in the haters of this series. I'm definitely a critic of it because I think it could have been more. I don't want to say better. I'm not sure it could have been better given what were clear constraints. I mean, how you end up with a 5 episode thing. I mean, you got to think about it. The Transformers series, the War for Cybertron series is only to 6 episodes, which is stupid in its own right. Actually, it feels a whole lot like that, where you end up from place to place with a whole lot of stuff that happens in between. I was trying to avoid said spoilers, but I won't talk about that specific thing you're saying. Um, I don't want to say it wasn't earned because if we're considering that this is a continuation, for that to have been the thing that happened makes sense. Yeah, see, I don't even put the new She-Ra series in the argument. One, I haven't watched it. I had no interest in that. I didn't watch, never watched a single thing of She-Ra ever, and I know she's directly related to He-Man, and there was crossovers. There was all the things. And this is not that. I consider that a reboot and this a continuation. Um, in at least from my exposure. Yeah. That's not fair to even put those two together. Um, that's like saying, well, actually, I can't even say that. It's like, Thundercats Roar versus Thundercats 2011. Not the same thing. Also, why? Why did they do that? Oh, apparently, I heard the other day on Nerd Rage Radio, which you guys should all go subscribe to, either on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Nerd Rage Radio, go check them out. Um, they were talking about which series was it? We're talking about one of the original '80s series. Maybe it was He-Man, but they were talking about doing a reanimation of it, and they weren't sure of what that meant. Does that mean that they're going to take the original animation and essentially trace it all out in digital format and give it a brand new form with slightly more modern animation, but then leave the old acting and stuff? Which is basically my argument for what they should do with original Gundam. Is like, yeah, don't give us that original animation. Get rid of that garbage. It's like, keep all the voice acting, keep the exact story, just give us new animation to it. Remaster. Yeah, Hairball. That's funny. Thundercats Hairball. Yeah, basically. Thundercats. Oh, I was looking for this. I was trying to remember when it was. The Halo Tolf is the only one that's currently up and running. It's also incredibly crooked, so you're gonna have to deal with that. But hey, remote works. I was wondering where it was. It was sitting right there. Anyways, as for the incel argument, one, I get it. Hold on. Yeah, exactly. 20 years. I still haven't watched that. The one that is on Netflix now, where they released the 3 movies and stuff like that, along with Charles Counterattack. I mean to, I just haven't. Much like yeah, I don't know if you guys know, we've been slightly busy the last couple months, basically. It has taken quite some time. You guys don't, if you guys are paying attention to the vlogs and you look at the day gap, but even within the same vlog where I jump a few days, just imagine I was packing stuff for those days. And then I feel like I missed a day somewhere in transition, where I filmed something and I don't know what happened to it. Um, but many days go by. Like, I started packing in at the tail end of, or not tail end, but like 3 weeks into June, I was already starting to pack because I knew that we were moving middle of July. Either way, back to the whole incel argument of girl power is wrong power. I guess that's what the argument is. I don't care that the series centered around Tila and other female characters. I care about how the series is handled around those female based characters. And I saw one dumb argument. I don't even know who was making this. I pop around YouTube. I look at different reviews and stuff. Yeah, toy scalpers. No. It's just nothing is on the shelves yet. Everything is still in boxes in the closet. But now that I've got statues or statue setups good to go, I can get those out of their boxes and start getting stuff on the shelves. These were my action figure billies. The Transformer billies are over there, which is backwards compared to how it was before, but that's how the world ended up. It took 3 iterations of trying to figure out how the room was going to be laid out to come to this conclusion. Either way, back to what I was saying. Um, to have a female centered story based in a very male, at least what I would argue, male driven series and universe, because of course most of these quote unquote masters of the universe were male, big, burly, ginormous guys. It's okay. No, go watch it if you got time. It takes what is it? Barely over 2 hours, 2.5 hours to watch it, if that. And if you're on the toilet for half of that, then it makes it real easy to watch. Um, and I will say you don't have to watch every minute of it because I didn't. I mean, I was cooking for a part of it. Hey, baby, what's up?
Oh, middle school. Good night.
Are you going to bed already? Okay, I'll join you soon. Can't be a live stream without her coming to tell us good night. Like I said, I don't care that it was centered around females. Whoop de doo. As long as the story doesn't go the only females can do it situation, I think that's. I'm trying to not say Revelation's crap. I don't think it was crap by any means. I don't think it was anything special. I don't think it was the best mass MOTU story of all time. Like some people have really kind of blown it out of proportion, but it's an opinion. It's if you're a bigger fan of MOTU, then yeah, you'll probably love it because it is hardcore in that world. You get all of the or many of the classic characters, classic bad guys, classic good guys. Um, I read into it. Son of a bitch. Okay. Yes, it's not crap. Um, I also was watching while cooking, so I mean, I wasn't paying that much. Like episode 3, I think, or half of episode 2. It was kind of hard to keep track of which episode I was in. One, I didn't realize it was only 5 episodes, but it was also like because one episode rolled right into the next, so it's just kind of like, okay, which one am I on? So I was cooking for part of it, so I didn't feel like I missed anything that I couldn't hear. Um, I did have to backtrack a couple times. To be like, what was that? Like, what did I just hear or see? Um, it was fine. I mean, that's the best way I can put it. It was fine. I give it a 6 out of 10. There's nothing ridiculously good. I say that the animation was definitely the biggest positive of it. Um, the story, for being like such an important arc, was so short. I think it was an injustice to itself. And whether that's a corporate decision or maybe Kevin Smith can't write that much, I don't know. I mean, like he's been involved in comics, he's been involved in TV shows, he's been involved in his own movie career. Um, he can write, you know, and he write quippy dialogue, he can write funny stuff, and like this was also kind of trying to write something. It's almost like it was supposed to be MOTU the next generation because it's like they were handing things down to Tila in a very literal way in the series. And that's why like it followed her and not everyone else, and that's why you kind of got the updates to other characters as they were involved. Seems a wild detraction from the previous range. I mean, I guess so. I mean, if you look at it as if they were to come out with another series that was, yeah, yeah, exactly. But if it was like, okay, so we followed Tila through these events, and then next time we follow Duncan to see everything he went through in this amount of time, and like from the inciting incident to uh, the finale, like we see everything those characters go through up until those points. Like obviously we don't have to see much of the characters that were involved in this story because they were there. but like seeing what other people are going through, like forget anything that happened with the king and queen. They're just after episode one over there, which makes sense given what happened. But um, yeah, I feel like so many of the characters were relegated to either just being a tool or a plot device, I should say, or they got either they were a plot device, a stagnant character, or got development. And I feel like Tila was in the stagnant character thing. And I mean, I get it; it was her story, but like with only 4 episodes to get through her problems. Yeah, it looks they did kill her. That's funny. Um, and like the funny thing is that she doesn't stay angry the whole series. Eventually, she sort of gets to not be angry, I guess. Um, and then she gets to feel a slightly different emotion right at the end. Um, by the way, that ending did piss me off because, of course, I didn't really see it coming, but I should have given the toy reveals and stuff like that. So I knew that a specific character, without commenting on that, don't want to spoil that. Once again, watch the damn series. I'm trying to keep spoilers to a minimum, guys. I knew that a certain character had to happen, and I'm like, okay, hasn't happened yet, has to happen soon. How do we get there? And that's one thing I think that the toy industry needs to stop doing. Stop releasing toys before a movie or a series drops. Do it after. Because you're spoiling things. Lego is infamous for this before COVID for spoiling Marvel movies. Everyone knew months in advance that Giant Man was going to be in Civil War because of the damn playset. You know, there's a few other things. They spoiled a lot of, what was it? Stormbreaker in the Lego set. Stuff like Bandai spoils stuff on Gunpla kits. Yeah, kind of, but on the same, not as bad, I should say. I'm trying to minimize spoilers to things that matter versus things that are just gonna happen, especially after the first episode. Like, first episode is the episode where all the things that matter happen, and then the last episode is where all the other things that happen matter. Everything in between is just Tila dealing with bullshit. Um, the quest, as it were. And like I said, I think the animation was fantastic. So if you had issues watching it, like it seemed choppy or bad, probably a bad connection. And I'll say that like on my TV, it doesn't seem to be. Like my TV doesn't seem to want to get things as high a definition as possible, despite the fact we now have like stupid fast internet. Um, so I'm kind of glad I watched it on my phone. They're definitely marching the plot along. I mean, they had to. The inclusion of other characters that were quote unquote evil before, um, I thought was good. Yeah, yeah. Um, oh, but yeah, yeah. And I get with Bandai releasing model kits, but I think part of that was because the series ends up getting delayed. What I loved was when Bandai was dropping IBO kits the week the episode came out or after the episode came out. Like, okay, cool. You saw the new mobile suit? Boom. Here's your kit for it, and you can order it right now. Um, that's that's what I appreciate. And they don't do timing like that anymore. And I think even in 2019 they started giving up on it. Sorry, it's the mead. The mead's getting to me. I'm definitely gonna have to take a Tums before bed. But as it goes, I think that if there's anything I would change about the series, and I did mention this already, but some people are just now rolling in. make it a little bit longer, make it 8 episodes, stretch out the quest, give a few more events leading up to things. Everything was too easy, everything was too short. That's true. Well, announcements, not pre orders. There are occasional pre orders where you literally get nothing other than title holder B, placeholder title C, that kind of stuff. But why would you pre order something you have no clue what it is? It's like sending out pre order applications to retailers ahead of time, to retailers so they can pre-order stock, makes sense. For retailers to put out any information on something that hasn't even been announced yet is silly. But that's also how I occasionally get drops on knowing when things are coming out ahead of time. Haven't heard from that guy in a while. I need to check on him. Also, I guess since we're almost to August, I should probably start on Double October sometime soon. Um, but as you can see, it's going to be a little hard to get stuff. I'm waiting on more Double O stuff to drop. Unfortunately, Virtue drops after, which is annoying. I do have something on order already, which should come out beforehand. I pre-ordered something else that comes out in October, so I'm hoping I can actually get that in time. Uh, that. Yes, very much that. Also, if anybody can't see the chat, that sucks. Um, Anybody else notice that sometimes the chat isn't in replays? That's really annoys me. I put it on live chat, so hopefully it'll be there. But yes, extending it out, let the characters have time to breathe or deal with things because, like I said, so there are deaths of characters. Not saying which ones. The internet would have spoiled that for you already. If you haven't seen spoilers, good for you. I saw them beforehand. Um, wasn't looking. That's just what happens in my life. Um, so there's not a lot of room to breathe on screen for character deaths. I don't know that Loki got as trimmed down. I do want to have a discussion about Loki because I thoroughly enjoyed Loki. I don't think Loki got as trimmed down as Falcon and Winter Soldier did. And I know that WandaVision got trimmed ever so slightly. But I think as the series goes, Falcon and Winter Soldier was the one that had the most changes due to specifically COVID. Because not only did that not come out first, like I think it was supposed to, they had to change the entire storyline, or the entire B plot of it had to be completely rewritten, and then came up with some other bullshit, and then it is. I think that's the one that suffered most from rewrites and shortening of episodes and stuff like that. Where near the end, things are just sort of happening, one right after the other, when there's physically no way that could have happened. I think that Loki didn't suffer that much from cutting episodes, but maybe I'm wrong. Um, I don't think it was lacking anything. That's another thing. It's like some people were mad at Loki. I was not. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Week to week, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think there was a bad episode in the bunch. Some people loved the initial, and then when it started getting to the more talking oriented episodes, it dropped off. And that's where I posted the other day Loki was the best season of Doctor Who we've had in a long time. And it is. Classic Whovians probably thoroughly enjoyed Loki because it was definitely, definitely Doctor Who. It really was. How? When it's stuff that would normally be based on movies. So you got to think introducing the new NCTVU, as it were, or MCSU streaming universe, the Marvel Cinematic Streaming Universe. Um, these are all things that would have been movies that aren't series. So to stretch it to the standard 12 or 13 episodes when originally it should only be like 2.5 hours is hard. You're either going to end up with a fuck ton of filler, which nobody likes filler, or you're going to lose your plot. So the idea that they're taking what could have been a 2 hour movie and stretching it to 5 hours, give or take, because you get some episodes that are like 32 minutes and some that are like 52 minutes. The inconsistent length of episode does annoy me, but when I look at it like short movies, I'm okay with it. Or a mini series. If they didn't call it a full series, if they called it a mini series, it would work better. You're leaving? You're gonna leave us, B nuts? Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna be going too much longer. I'm tired. My head hurts a lot. Thing of sinuses. It's doing a lot of drilling and making a lot of sawdust happen earlier, so it's probably that. Or it's the Saharan dust, which is riddling Texas right now. You can see it in the air. It's not as bad as previous years where you can literally feel it on your skin. But I haven't been spending that much time outdoors if I can avoid it. Either way, no, with when it does come to the Marvel Cinematic, or the MCSU as I call it, uh, basically making miniseries that could have been movies, I think is better. So if you look at it as, okay, we get 6 episodes instead of 2 movies that we'd have to wait years for, I'm fine with that. As long as it's done well. If you give them nearly the same budget and they really are pulling off the same special effects and CG budget and all that, I'm down with that. WandaVision had such a ridiculous budget, I thought it was crazy. Then Loki comes out, ridiculous budget. So it's like, cool, let's keep it rolling. Let's get the Hawkeye series is not going to have anywhere near the budget, and a lot of people are going to say it's not that interesting. But if you watch Black Widow, I feel like Black Widow should have been a series, not a movie. I think that was the last of their real bastions of the old school way of doing things, and I'm okay with it. I look at it as comic books. This is a comic book world. It's a comic book universe. Make it a serialized thing if you're gonna have to. Netflix did it. Of course, they did full seasons. Marvel just sort of making it happen. I'm good with it. And we've got all the animated ones that are coming, like the what ifs and stuff like that. Fine with that. And now we got all of the stuff branching post Loki, post everything else that's coming. No spoilers if you didn't finish Loki. Sorry, I saw a comment there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, animes do OVAs instead of full on movies, and then they'll usually turn them around either into smaller movies or full series that are stretched out movies. But, basically taking the exact same story and adding filler. Um, yeah, yeah. Loki would not have worked as a movie. It wouldn't have. It would have worked as a series of events across a couple movies, but not as a standalone movie. I think Black Widow would have been better served as a series. They could have chopped it. They really could have. They could have chopped that up. They had a whole year, more than a whole year, to work on post production. If they knew that they weren't going to put out Black Widow due to the way the world shut down, if they had access to anything, any kind of little bit of extra budget, I would have broken it down, made a Black Widow series out of it. Because then they could have rolled that into the MCSU, which sounds like a college at this point. Marvel Cinematic State University. Actually, at this point, we are worried about the state of the MCU. All I know is that, like, a lot of people got the end of Loki technically correct. It's one of the few series that actually gave us hints that were right. I suggest it. Like, A lot of people said that, and okay, so let's just talk about it right now. The biggest complaint that I've seen from people about Loki is that they seem to have nerfed him. Like he seemed kind of like a badass when it came to the Thor movies, and other times we've seen him. You know, he would fight, he would kill people, he would do all these things. Loki's an opportunist. He takes advantage of a situation. He's a manipulator and an opportunist and a vulture. He's not the guy who's actually actively going to take a assault on someone without being able to be sneaky or have someone else kind of do the work and then him do cleanup and get the end result. He doesn't do that at all in the series. Like he rarely, until he has a reason, I should say, takes action on his own. It's usually as a result of a thing that happened and he takes advantage, or it's a situation he tries to manipulate and then he tries to take advantage. He's not Thor who's rushing in headlong, hammer swinging, no plan. He's the one who wants to work out the plan and find the sneakiest backdoor way into anything. He is strong. He does have magic. He is manipulative, and he's smart. He's very smart. Um, that being said, he's also working with people who have the ability to rewrite time. So you tell me how powerful he's supposed to be against someone who has the actual ability to undo changes to the universe. So, I mean, a god versus that. And that's one thing that I loved about the first episode of Loki. Um, which, by the way, the first episode of Loki is fan fucking tastic. Love that. Um, it's one of the only ones I rewatched. I rewatched the first episode and I rewatched the last two. Um, and there's and the thing is almost all the characters are likable, one way or another. The new introduction of characters in the last couple episodes, also likable characters. I like that. You care about what a lot of these people are going through throughout the story. You know, they don't just introduce a new character just to get rid of them in the next episode necessarily. Um, I say that because sometimes you deal with it, but like power creep's always been dude, man. Yeah, yeah. Um, except I don't see this as a power creep. Well, I think a lot of people don't like what happened to Thor in between Ragnarok and Endgame. I think a lot of people don't like what happened with Thor and his anti-power creep, where he went from I don't need the hammer, I am the source of my own power, I'm going to be this new thing, and then the first thing he does post getting his ass whooped by Thanos is goes and gets a new hammer, um, which I I both have a problem with, but completely understand at the same time, because he now knows his power is in him, and he is still strong, but he got his ass handed to him by Thanos, no problem. And then he witnessed Thanos completely whipping ass on the Hulk, which even he, without a hammer, could not beat. Not really. Um, so knowing that he could get a weapon that could actually amplify his own power, and once again, he didn't get Stormbreaker because it was a source of his power. He got Stormbreaker because it would make his power greater. He needed something he knew could kill a god, and he's already there. You know, if you pulled out what is it called, the black sword, what's the Gore the God Butcher uses, you know, the the black sword thing. I forgot what it's called, but I mean like that in and of itself, I guess, you know, other than being powered basically by the void or by blackness, you know, isn't necessarily giving power to the person versus it being powerful enough to just kill gods. Yeah. I mean, like, Mjolnir was one thing where the one time that Odin used his own magic to lock Thor's powers away from him until he was worthy of them didn't mean that he didn't have them without Mjolnir. He was, much like the fandom, he was also confused by that. So it's like, dude, the hammer was never your conduit of your power. It just helped you focus it. Now, mind you, when I did that one thing, yeah. But then, of course, the worthiness charm still existed when Captain America picked it up, so therefore, he was given the powers of Thor, even though Thor had his own powers, as it were. You gotta think, even Fat Thor, like in game Thor, still had his powers. Wait, Stormbringer. Did I say Stormbringer? Or is it Storm? Yeah, it's Stormbringer, isn't it? No, Stormbreaker. Now I'm confused. Am I confusing Stormbringer, the Gundam, versus Stormbreaker? Someone help me. I think I've been drinking. Maybe it's Stormbreaker. I think it's Stormbreaker, not Stormbringer. Either way, uh, technically more powerful, yes, not equal to, because one, it doesn't have the worthiness charm. Anyone could technically wield it. It has the power of the Bifrost. Well, no, I don't know if I said the wrong thing. That's why I'm asking. That's funny. I don't know. It's Storm something. Anthony, what's going on? Um, Either way, no, it has power within itself, energy reflection and stuff like that, being basically invulnerable, being able to focus his lightning and thunder abilities, being able to command it the same way he could before, which is just part of its basic enchantment, but then the ability to use the Bifrost, but we forget about that in in-game. Would have been incredibly useful to use the Bifrost a few times. But Mjolnir basically was just a conduit for his powers and or could give his powers to other people, which is still pretty damn cool. That's how we get Worthy Cap, which is fine. Technically, I do think Thanos would have been worthy. Not because he was ultimately good, but because he did not believe that what he was doing was wrong. So, maybe. We'll see. But yeah. Back to MOTU. Because there was, I think, a tiny bit of that. You didn't know he switched hammers? Yeah. Oh, I guess if you'd ever watched Infinity War / Ragnarok / Endgame, you wouldn't know. Um, yeah, well, it's technically an axe. Well, look at it this way. So, in the comics, he in the Ultimates comics, if I remember correctly, he doesn't have Mjolnir. He actually has this gigantic, ridiculous axe, which is stupid powerful. And I do believe at some point that axe makes its way into the main 616 universe. And at one point he's wielding both and proved to be too powerful, so he doesn't do that, I think. Stormbreaker is actually the hammer / axe of um, oh my god, his name just completely Beta Ray Bill. So it was never his. Um, I think at some point he might have loaned it to Thor. So Beta Ray Bill uh, was a kind of synthetic hero created by his people to help protect them. And then when Thor ran afoul of Beta Ray Bill, he actually was able to wield Mjolnir against him. So he went back to Eitri and the dwarves, and they made him his own hammer, giving him his own powers, just like Thor, and stuff like that. Although it was gold, had an axe on one side and more of a rounded hammer, not a squared off hammer. which is pretty cool in its own right. But in the MCU, of course, it's more based in the Ultimates universe, so giving him a big, powerful axe makes more sense. So, so the new Stormbreaker has a squared off axe on one side and a bigger axe head on the other side, and a much longer handle. It's not short. Comics or classic Stormbreaker is small, much like Mjolnir. It's not. It's not big and ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I mean that's where that comes from. But yeah, in the MCU, it's a different thing entirely. And it doesn't have to contain his powers, but it has its own powers, which are pretty badass in and of its own right. It's a king's weapon. And in theory, you could even call it the Bifrost. That's my best Eitri impression. Yeah, you gotta watch those movies. Actually, what's funny is it plays a bigger part in Infinity War than it does in Endgame. I mean, it matters in Endgame, but not as much as it does in Infinity War. So it is what it is. But if you got to watch Ragnarok, or else you won't even know why he even needs a thing in the thing. So it is what it is. Watch Loki. Definitely watch Loki. It's absolutely worth it. I gotta wonder, are they gonna put out these series on like Blu-ray and stuff? Does anyone know? I mean, so for people who don't have Disney Plus and aren't gonna stream it, are they gonna treat it like the rest of the MCU and put it out on Blu-ray? Seems like an easy thing to do. It'd be pretty cool, honestly. Like the Phase Four collection, you just get all of it, you know. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here in a few more minutes. I need to finish looking. I've watched first three. Oh, okay. Good stuff happens after that. Um, that's funny. You're not even the first person I talked to who hasn't finished Loki. We're watching them as they come out. You know, it is what it is. We managed to. Thank God it didn't come out or it finished before we finished or really started to move. So we're not like in between series right now. Pass up another opportunity for a buck. No. Well, I just gotta wonder because I haven't heard anything about it. Um, but I guess in its own way, this new MOTU series borrows a tiny bit from sections of that in like Infinity War. Um, and I'm just trying to tie it all back to the actual discussion that we're supposed to have tonight. I mean, I think I said everything I needed to say about the MOTU revelations. Like too short, needed to be longer. Let the characters breathe, write it out a little bit more, um, and the the reading nitwits need to just stop. I get it if you're pissed because your favorite character had a thing happen to him that you didn't like. Fine, that wasn't the story that we were gonna get. We didn't know that. That's why you're mad. Cool. This is what we got. Hopefully, in the next series, they make up for some of that. I don't know. I have no idea where he's planning on going in the future. If they even get a second season, and my opinion would be that they pissed off people so much that they might not get a second season. Because if they did, they should have started it immediately. Um, because the backlash has been absurd. Like, it really has. I do feel slightly sorry for Kevin Smith because I know he really does defend his work. Um, and he is a really super creative guy. Always has been. I like what he's done in the past. I liked his episode of The Flash. I liked some of the comic stuff that he's worked on. I'm a fan of his movies. I haven't seen all of his movies. Like, there's other ones that keep. They're like, that's a Kevin Smith movie. Damn, I need to watch that. Um, the ones I have seen, I've really enjoyed, and I think that either there were constraints either via the network or other things. He did flat out confirm that Netflix doesn't care what the ratings are at all. They don't care at all what people think about it. They're just gonna put it out. It's like you should care some because that might preclude people from watching it in the future. You might have to care about that, Netflix. Sorry. Um, So that's going to be that in and of itself. There's no way around that. Also, drinking out of glass we've never used. We had a set of wine glasses given to us by her mom's. We never even took them out of the box since we moved. We took them out of the box. This is a pretty cool one. I like the lines. It's got some cool stuff going on here. Not to mention it's an interesting mead. But guys, thanks for hanging out. For those who did, if you're catching this after the stream, I have no idea. Never knew anything about gaming. I mean, I might. I don't know. I'm just not interested in the character at all. Like, you know, maybe that's my 6-year-old bias. It's like, no, that's a girl show. I think I just don't care. I have no tie to it. I have no reason to care. Voltron, I had a reason to care. I like the original Voltron. I like the 3D animated version of Voltron, which wasn't good, but I liked it. And then the new Voltron was fantastic, but some people didn't like it. Some people didn't like the new anime-ish style. I did, so it is what it is. But I need to go to bed. I'm tired, and the alcohol's kicking in. And tomorrow I have a lot of running around to do, along with continuing to work on this ridiculous room. And then at some point I gotta watch Hathaway's Flash and do an old school review of it, just like we used to do back in the day with all new Gundam stuff. So I'm sure you guys will look forward to a live stream review of Hathaway's Flash. And then I will be watching original Gundam movies on the Netflix because they're there. So that's that. Unfortunately, I no longer have a reviewing partner, so that's going to suck. I won't have anybody to bounce stuff off of. But, yay. I'm tired. And hopefully by then, I'll have my stuff set up. I gotta remember what box my stuff is in. I don't know. I know where my microphone stand is. That's it. And I gotta rework some stuff to make my camera and everything mount better. So, but guys, have a great night. Have a great week. All the other things. I have the review of the DNA Designs upgrade sets for Scorponok. It's a terrible, terrible review, but if you're interested, it'll be up. It was shot horribly in my living room. I admit it, but when you're trying to modify a big ass robot, it's not easy. You got to have space. The only place I had at that point was the living room. I will have reviews coming up. I don't know when, sometime soon, of these new tiny little robot combiner people, girls from Big Firebird. I just got those in right before we moved, and I've been playing with them for the last couple days. Retro review. I won't have a retro review for a while. Don't have anything retro to review. Packing, moving sucks. Yeah, and by the way, go watch all the vlogs. I'll be posting them in the community tab, but go over to the second channel. Just subscribe. Oh, I need to edit the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Tenga. I did review that prior to moving. I just never edited that review. So I got to get a lot of stuff out. I'm so dumb. Like, I had things edited that I didn't upload that I uploaded like 2 days ago. I was like, I should have uploaded this like 3 weeks ago. So I would have had continuous content. I'm just stupid. I just didn't get it. Dude, guys, by the way, we have like fast ass internet here. I've never been exposed to gigabit. Even on our Wi-Fi, it's not gigabit. It's like 650 at best. It took like 5 minutes to upload a 25-minute vlog. I was blown away. So imagine real live streams like it. If I can do 1080, I don't know if I can, but I'll try. And on the third channel, go subscribe to the third channel if you want to come and hang out. Hida has popped in occasionally for those and was completely scared by all the country music that was happening, but it is what it is. Hopefully, if I get it all set up, I'll be doing more live streaming very, very soon with a heck of a lot less constraints. But I appreciate you guys for hanging out and coming back. I know it was last second on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever day it fucking is. And remember, as always, keep on nerding, keep on building, and let's keep building this community together. And if anybody lives in the area and wants to come help me get my room set back up, that'd be great. I need the help. See you guys later. Ah, crap. How do I turn... Ah, there we go.